Second.
Motion second, approve the minutes, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved. Before we get into the agenda, I want to, brag a little bit on this council. This is my 7th council I've served on, and I just love working with each one of you. And one of the things that happened Friday was on a Friday afternoon, we had, most everybody was here, and I know why you couldn't be here, Cassius. But Chris Hall, we had a lot of questions concerning the housing authority, and we started having problems with Section 8 and some things. So what we did was, and we learned a lot, I think, about how to move forward. You know, summer's coming, it's not gonna get any better. And so we learned about what we should do, what THA's responsibility is, what the landlord's responsibility is too, or are. And, but for a Friday afternoon, for people to show up was just great. And I was really proud of everybody. And Mr. Busby had a great idea that has worked with the private companies, I guess, with renting. And so we were gonna look at getting with the city attorney's office and see if we can't maybe try to emulate that as far as who's given the privileges of renting Section 8. And dealing with the same repeat offenders, violators, and things such as this. So I just want to say how proud I was of everyone, and people that think that we just come down here and vote yes on Tuesdays don't even begin to realize.
We don't?
We don't. Well, we do that, but that's not, but we do so much more. And I learned a lot myself Friday, and I just think it was great. And I also want to thank Cassius too for really stepping up. What a tragic weekend across the county and our state, actually, including Dadeville. But the situation with the 2 young lives lost, Madison, the Bryant High, of course, student, and Cassius did a great job with the media, and I know you've been involved with the family, very much so too, and I was very proud of you, and through all of that, and that's not an easy thing to step up and do, and I thought you just did great. So anyway, I just want to say, as they say, give the flowers while you can still. You wouldn't say give the flowers while you're still living, or whatever that is. But I just want to thank the council. I told Walt this when I spoke with him over the weekend, how proud I was of the dedication that this council has to everything. I mean, you know, I just love it, and so thank you for being here. Okay, Barry.
Yes,
I thank you too, Barry.
we haven't done anything yet.
Hop on it.
Y'all are familiar with this one here, I'm sure. 1500 McFarland Boulevard East, Mr. White.
Say that.
That's my district now.
Speaking of devil, here we are.
I know.
This is what it looks like today. I spoke to Mr. McGuire this afternoon. He and the realtors are gonna be here tonight to speak on some possible sale issues that they may be having. Aside from that, this is what we have to show today. Now, to say that it meets code, no, sir, it does not. But he does meet the minimum requirements of the boarding side of it, making the building secured. Mr. Boswell wanted me to reiterate that if we do condemn it, there's a good possibility he will appeal. So just keep that in mind before you make your decision.
Who said that?
Mr. Boswell.
Oh,
Alan.
yeah.
Can I ask a question, Mr. President?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Hey, Barry, Remind me, when we had the meeting 2 months ago, we were talking about this. What exactly was Mr. McGuire asked to do, and how does that compare to what has happened? I remember something about the awning, or the front of it had to be taken off, right? Some of the fire damage, I mean, the painting, whatever, but what did he agree to do in 60 days?
It was our understanding he was going to remove the awning, clean up around the property, and make the repairs to the building to satisfy the code and the council.
And
I don't remember the exact wording he used, but that's kind of it in short.
so, how does that, again, square up with where we are right now?
Honestly, is
Preferable.
I'm not very impressed with what they did to it.
Is,
You know, they didn't make the repairs according to what we anticipated or what we expected.
if the property, and I wanna hear from these people tonight, right, I know everybody does, but if the property, there's a contract on it,
Yes, sir.
and the property is gonna be sold with this building in the next month, is it reasonable to give a period of time to that, to see if all that happens? I mean, cause we usually would do that. I mean, I'm just thinking if they come up here and say they're gonna sell this property in 30 days, or whatever they're gonna tell us, how would you feel about it then?
I think that's doable. I wouldn't.
But no more maybe 45 days or something, right, to get to the end of May?
30 to 60 days, you know, we typically give 30 days, but you know, it's up to, it's y'all's discretion at that point.
But that would be easier to stomach, right, if you knew it was gonna be sold?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry, Mr. President.
No, sir. I'll talk with you afterwards because I was under the impression that there was an offer made to purchase this and they accepted it. Not who you're talking about, but, the family who owned it.
Mr. Wyatt.
Mr. Wyatt.
Mhm.
So I'd rather not say publicly, who it is, but I heard the conversation, so I was told that it was under contract.
My understanding, it is under contract. And like I said, the realtors are gonna be here tonight to go into a little bit more detail on
Okay.
that.
Okay,
But we would recommend at least 30 days if we're gonna take it.
gotcha.
But please keep in mind, if we do vote it to condemn it, it's more than likely gonna be appealed.
Okay.
That's
Any
it.
more questions? Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Zach?
I've got two items for you guys tonight. The first one is actually for a grandstand for their gastro club conditional use. That's the public hearing that was set for tonight. However, the owner is here. If you had any questions, he did request via email to withdraw that request. And so if you had any questions about that, otherwise you can just vote to withdraw it and we can keep going forward.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. But the public hearing is scheduled for tonight.
It's still gonna,
But y'all can vote to withdraw it.
okay,
And he's here if you have any questions.
yeah.
Otherwise, I can move into our second item.
Anybody have any questions for Raj? Okay,
All right, our second item, this is for introduction, but it could also be adopted by unanimous consent following the introduction. This is an annexation of 16.2 acres at 6444 Sanders Ferry Road. So this is the location you can see on the Joe Malashan Parkway and Sanders Ferry, close to that intersection there. It is currently in the county and they're requesting to come into the city. It would come in as R1. There's a house on the property today, as you can see in that kind of right corner by the road. And then this actually is two parcels. So you can see the slightly black outline there. That's going to be another home that is the sister of the person who owns the house that exists. They're going to build a new house on that piece, and they both want to connect to city sewer. And so that's why they're requesting to come into the city. This is identified as a priority 1 expansion area. Flex Employment Center is what it's identified as on framework. But as you know, when you're annexed into the city, you can come in as R1.
Is that the Smeltzer properties?
Durrell
It is.
Smeltzer
Yes, sir.
place.
What do they plan to do with it?
Just, they're gonna keep the house that currently exists there that I've understood has been in the family for generations. And then his sister is gonna build on that second parcel there. And they both just wanna build a home. And so they both just wanna connect to city sewer.
So the 16 acres and change is just,
Just to have 2 homes on it, yep.
and connecting to the sewer, is there already something to connect to out there?
I believe there is, yes, sir, along Sanders Ferry. There is a connection point. I don't know how feasible it is to connect. They've been in contact with OCE about that and what that all entails, but from my understanding is they're aware of whether or not they can and can't connect, and they're pursuing this, so I'm assuming that they got good news from OCE on connecting to that sewer.
Okay, is anybody from OCE in here?
I don't think so. But we had no issues.
Brendan, would you ask OCE to give us an answer to that question?
And it was unanimously recommended for approval.
Hmm?
It was unanimously recommended for approval in March.
Sure.
That's all I've got.
Okay,
You a voter?
thank you, Zach.
That's a voter for you.
This in your eye.
Mr. Mills.
Right, that's District 1, that's District, yeah.
Nice.
All right, good afternoon, Councilman Mayor. We have 2 applicants tonight, both of them applying for special retail events less than 7 days. However, my first applicant, Downtown Entertainment, has requested to withdraw this application tonight. They don't want to, they're not going to actually proceed with that one. So that, we will recommend you guys withdraw on that one. My second application is for Starner and Starner LLC. They're applying again for special events retail less than 7 days at the Delta Chi Alumni event on April 29th, located at 511 Jefferson Avenue. That's the location, the first picture. Second one again, if he shows it, give you an idea of what we actually going to be applying for that. Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Any questions?
That's it.
Delta Chi, it's for this A-Day, this coming A-Day
It's
weekend?
April
or
29th.
April the 29th?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Today's the 18th,
Yeah,
right?
so it's next, not this coming Saturday, the following. Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Mills.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mayor Maddox?
No updates, but we'll have 2 items for executive session.
Great. Thank you, sir. Brandy?
All right, so if you guys remember last week, we talked a little bit about TTS's board and how we have that one position that was recently vacated by Dr. Kelvin Kroon. Last week, you guys got 10 applicants and 10 resumes to go with those applicants. If you guys have had a chance to look at them, we could talk about some possible nominations or what you guys want to do.
I looked over them, and the first 2, one was Edwards and the other one was the director of the Disabled Athletics. I can't think of the name.
Dr. Harden.
Adapted.
Either of those 2, I would vote to support. I didn't know any of the others or recognize niche capabilities or experience in there.
Let me, I spoke with Kelsey last week. They've got 4 openings,
Coming
4 more
up.
coming up. So,
Mayor's got one, right?
and we've got 2,
And then they've got one, the
right?
TTS itself.
We got 2 more coming. On-
I tell you, I like, and I'll tell you why. I like Dr. Harden. The reason is because the adapted athletics has become a huge draw, tourist draw. Both the men's and women's team just won national championships in basketball and volleyball. And so, that would bring a whole different dynamic, and it's tourism. And so I would like to see Dr. Hardin, who's been, that would be my recommendation.
How many are we selecting
One.
And I would,
Then we got two
coming up?
coming up.
and I personally, I've looked through them all as well, and, looking through some different lenses, I think that Shea Bird, would make a great, addition to, the TTS.
Yeah, and I'm down for Shea Bird, but, you know, if we have two more coming up,
We do.
then I wanna just go ahead and drop her name, Shea Bird. She's a great asset to the city, as
Yeah.
well as her family has been, her mother has been, so
That's
she's
right.
very familiar with city services and committees, so, you know, if y'all needed any help with that resume, Shea Bird is a good one.
I like Shea Bird as well.
But, you know, for
How many do we need to do today?
just one today, so I'm in favor of,
Shea Bird,
I can wait if we have two more coming up. How soon will they be coming up?
I believe
September.
September.
Okay,
September.
well, I'm
Yeah.
in favor of Shea Bird, so it's however.
Like you said,
So are they recommending these two, did TTS recommend these two
yeah,
for two positions or just one?
one.
For one? I'm
But they are well aware that, again, the mayor's got one coming up, we've got another one, and they have one of their own. They've got an inordinate amount of turnover on the board between now and September. So I think what Kelsey is trying to do, I mean, it's rare that you get an opportunity to shape that board as much as you know, usually you're dealing with one or two vacancies every couple of years. So I think we ought to stay in close touch with them as to what they want. That's all I have.
Do you wanna put, what do you wanna do, talk about Shay, or put Frank Harmon on that?
I mean, we can all take a vote, we could take a vote and.
Let me ask you this.
The vote.
I don't think we can vote it.
No, we can do it, we have to recommend.
Yeah,
What is her, Ms. Brown, I'm not saying she's not qualified, just athletically, I mean, what does she know about tourism?
But tourism is not just athletics as
Well,
well.
I know, I said athletics and tourism.
So who
Yeah, he's the director of the
Adapted
adapted
athletics.
athletics.
and do you,
And that is probably one of the largest areas of tourism growth on campus because of they won 2 national championships, of course, this year alone. That's, the disabled community is one that has not been represented on the board either. So, that's who I'll go with, but we'll just need to make a
That's a
recommendation.
pretty impressive resume
Yeah, it
for
is.
tourism and sports.
Yeah. So, Norman, John, how do y'all feel?
do we wanna vote on this today?
No, we
I don't think we can vote it.
No, we can't, but we need to make a
We can
recommendation.
do a straw vote.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with this Edwards guy, and I don't know Shea Bird.
And I agree with her. And Shea.
We can only do one.
I'm gonna roll with Shea too.
Well, then, I tell you what, let's do
I
then.
think we can,
I think we'll be able to,
We just gotta do
we'll
it.
be able to work out everybody, I do believe,
Yeah.
but let me have a chance to talk with Mr. Harden, Dr. Harden and Shay.
Yeah.
I would like that, and then we'll make our recommendations solid next Tuesday. How about that?
I think that'll work.
And y'all try to do that too, talk with. And have you got her contact still, was that on the resume? It was-
the top of her resume, yes.
Gotcha, okay, thank you. Alrighty, Scott,
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Council.
afternoon.
good afternoon.
I am actually back over on the first page of your short agenda under unfinished business. We're on page 5. You'll be authorizing the mayor to renew an agreement with the Tuscaloosa Housing Authority to provide and manage tenant-based rental assistance program under the 2016 and 2019 Home Investment Partnership Program. This came from projects, I believe, on the 11th. And then I will fast forward down about midway through the second page of your agenda, where on page 16 you'll be authorizing amphitheater in-kind trade agreements with Hotel Indigo Tuscaloosa downtown. This comes from our AMP staff.
What page is that, Scott?
That's on page 16. On page 17, you'll be authorizing amendment number 1 to the professional services contract with Motorola Solutions. That is doubled up and will be heard at projects today. On page 18, you'll be authorizing the City of Tuscaloosa to make application to the Department of Homeland Security for a grant for targeted violence and terrorism prevention. You heard about that last week in finance. On page 19, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a lease with the John E. Walker IV to lease land at the Tuscaloosa National Airport for agricultural uses. You heard about that last week in projects. On page 20, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with FCC notification for Spectrum Manager Lease Ownership, Disclosure Information, and Spectrum Lease Agreement. You heard about that last week in projects. On pages 21 and 22, you'll be designating an official representative in regard to the DWSRF loan application, which came from finance last week. On page 23 and 24, you'll be designating an official representative in regard to the CWSRF loan application, which again came from finance. On page 25, you'll be authorizing the CFO to draw drafts for the Downs Improvement Project property acquisitions. This is a total of $8,320. On page 26, you'll be authorizing the execution of an agreement with AT&T for conversion of underground utilities along Jack Warner Parkway between Greensboro Avenue and 21st Avenue. That's a total not to exceed $200,751.25. That is doubled up and is on projects today. We're trying to keep that project moving forward as quickly as we can. On page 27, you'll be authorizing disbursement from District 1 improvement funds for the Family Fun Day event at Palomar Park. That is a total of $2,000 and was discussed in finance last week. On page 28, you'll be authorizing disbursement from the District 2 improvement funds for a Central High School track and field team. That is a total of $1,500 and was discussed in finance last week. On page 29 through 30, you'll be tentatively awarding a public works contract to Lavender Inc. for Rice Mine Road Northeast 200 block storm drainage infrastructure repair project as a total of $1,965,256.41. That was discussed in projects last week. On page 31, you'll be authorizing the purchase of equipment from Gray Bar. That's a total of $33,624.41. On page 42, you'll be authorizing a purchase of equipment from Stivers Ford Lincoln. That's a total of $49,599. The item on page 33, I actually made an error on and would like that to please be withdrawn tonight. The corrected version will be on next week. It was too much to do via substitute, and I didn't want to do a suspended rule. So if y'all don't mind withdrawing the item on page 33, it'll just come back before you next week.
Okay.
On page 34, you'll be authorizing amendment number 7 to FY23 General Fund Reserve for Future Improvements Fund Budget. That came from Finance Committee last week, and I believe that is all I have for you on the budget today. Any questions for me? I'm sorry, on the agenda, on the budget.
Questions for Scott?
The conversion from Greensboro to 21st,
Yes, sir.
we're converting overhead to underground, right?
Yes, sir. And that
How
is
does
part.
match up with what else is in this area?
It should match up with everything that is part of the TICRIC project. I'm looking around for somebody from OCE.
So 20 Greensboro to 21st Avenue is part of TICRIC?
I'm sorry, hold on a second. Which one are we looking at?
No, the 200,000 for, do what, Tom?
Phase 2 MLK.
Yes, sir. On page 26.
Phase 2 of MLK is Greensboro going east to 21st Avenue?
Yes.
I gotta send him my
That's in front of Synovus, right?
It's in front of Synovus, where it's closed currently. Between 21st Avenue if you're coming down Jack Warner Parkway past the farmers market, coming towards Greensboro, and it's closed there at 21st. It's that project between 21st Avenue and Greensboro
In front
Avenue
of Bank
on
Tuscaloosa.
Jack Warner Parkway.
Oh,
Synovus.
Sorry.
okay, on Jack Warner.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. All right.
Is part of this being held up because of this?
I don't believe it's being held up. I do know we put some pressure on AT&T to hurry up and get this done so it wouldn't be held up.
Because
But
being a driver that goes by that and down
Yes,
that
sir.
every day, there is nobody working. And they haven't been out there working for a long time.
There's plenty of people
So-
raising canes.
I need to raise Cain about that, Mr. Mayor.
Please do.
Nobody's working on that project. I mean, when are we ever gonna finish it?
I believe it's scheduled for this fall.
Which project is that?
The one in front of, Synovus Bank and the
Jack Warner.
between Greensboro and 21st. Yeah, because there's just nobody, well, nobody's working.
Right now, we're waiting on utilities. The last utility company, AT&T.
That makes sense.
So this may be a
So
major
that's
part of
what
why it
this
stopped,
is?
right?
That's why we've doubled this up to
That really
keep
makes
this moving.
sense that you said that.
So
But
we
Yeah.
you vote for
we
it.
can't, GSC
Oh, I'll
can't move
be
forward
glad to
without
vote for it.
utilities.
No,
Matthew.
but that makes sense, but that's, it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Oh, you're seeing me.
Carly, did you
Mr.
check,
Holmes has helped behind the scenes and encourage and incentivize AT&T.
Carly, could you check and see how much Mr. Wilson has in his improvement funds? Cause it seems like he's giving away lots of more money.
Are you jealous?
Did you hear him? Told him to check and see how much money you got. You've been giving away a whole lot of money lately.
Listen, bring the money, man. Bring the money. Bring me the money. It'll be in good hands. That's right.
Okay, every week, 2,000, 1,000, 3,000.
When you tell me, you call
Okay, have
it.
we audited, I guess Carly audits how much is in that account, right?
Yes, sir, we'll do a budget check every time a request
Thank
comes in.
If we might, we'll have to bring that to finance committee to look at it.
That's right, that's right.
Make
Kind of
sure.
like your ATM card.
That's right.
Gotta be there.
Exactly.
All righty,
I got
anybody?
a good accountant.
I would sing for you, but I'm not gonna do it. Happy birthday, Portia.
Happy birthday.
Birthday.
You're welcome. All right, is anybody in the room have anything they'd like to bring before council before we go into executive session? No one? Okay, do I hear a motion to go into
So
executive session?
moved.
Second.
Motion second, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that these topics for discussion of executive session are to discuss with their attorney the legal ramification of and legal options for pending litigation, controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated, or imminently likely to be litigated if the governmental body pursues a proposed course of action, as well as to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama or in other states or foreign nations, the discussions of which would have a detrimental effect upon the competitive positions of a party to the negotiations or upon the location, retention, expansion, or upgrading of a public employee or business entity in the area served by the governmental body if disclosed outside of executive session.
Okay, I have a motion second, go into executive session. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed?